Good evening, Ma'am Ellie. I'm Mary Ellaine Sabuya, one of your students in grade 11, UM 6. And tonight, I'm going to tackle about the French industrial, structural, Marxism, symbolic, and psychoanalysis. First, French Revolution. The French Revolution, which began in 1789 and ended in 1799, was a period of social and political upheaval in France and its colonies. It was influenced by liberal and radical ideas and led to the decline of absolute monarchies in other parts of Europe. The social conditions in France were unequal, with the clergy and nobility being the most privileged classes, while the third estate, consisting of peasants and workers, was burdened with excessive tax and no political and social rights. The economic situation was complicated by the involvement of Louis XIII in the American War of Independence and the faulty taxation system. French thinkers like Rousseau rejected the divine rights theory and promoted equality of man and sovereignty. The revolution ended vandalism and brave. Second, Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution, a period of significant mechanization and innovation that began in Great Britain during the mid-18th century and early 19th century, spread throughout much of the world. It was dominated by the exploitation of coal and iron. The American Industrial Revolution, also known as the Second Industrial Revolution, began during the Gilded Age in the 1870s and continued through World War II. The era saw the mechanization of agriculture and manufacturing, the introduction of new modes of transportation, and the mechanization of agriculture and manufacturing. The Industrial Revolution was driven by the adoption of coal as an energy source, which provided 3 times more energy than wood, and Britain had large coal deposits. The United States government aided domestic industry by instituting tariffs, making products like steel made by U.S. companies cheaper than foreign imports. Advantages of industrialization included increased employment opportunities, higher wages at factories, and the development of the first combustible engine, incandescent light bulb, and modern assembly line. However, rapid progress led to issues such as food shortages, urban pollution, and child labor. Key innovations during the Industrial Revolution include the first cotton mill, the first transcontinental railroad, the telegraph, and the telephone. In conclusion, the Industrial Revolution shifted societies from an agrarian economy to manufacturing economy, leading to increased production, efficiency, lower prices, more goods, improved wages, and migration from rural to urban areas. Third, structural functionalism. Structural functionalism is a theory that views society as a complex system with parts working together to promote solidarity and stability. It focuses on the social structures that shape society as a whole and believes that society has evolved like organisms. Functionalism addresses society as a whole in terms of the function of its constituent elements, such as norms, customs, traditions, and institutions. It emphasizes the importance of the social world over its individual parts, such as human subjects. Functionalism has its roots in the work of philosophers like Auguste Comte and Emile Durkheim, who argued the societies maintain internal stability and survive over time through shared values, symbols, and survive over time through through shared values, symbols, and systems of exchanges. Durkheim proposed that complex societies are held together by solidarity, based on specialization and interdependence. Functionalism has an anthropological basis in the work of theorists such as Marcel Mauss, Bronislaw Malinowski, and Radcliffe Brown, who propose that most stateless, primitive societies are based on corporate descent groups. The perspective is often contrasted with conflict theories, which focus on social problems and equalities. Fourth, the Marxism. Marxism, a theory of class struggle, says that class struggle is a law of history and the factors that accelerate economic development. It argues that every society is socially stratified based on classes, with the bourgeoisie, they are the business owners, dominating the means of production, and the proletariat, who turn resources into products, being the only two types of classes in capitalist society. The bourgeoisie is more economically powerful and politically influential than the proletariat, allowing workers to be exploited by the bourgeoisie. Capitalism is defined by commodities such as services and capital goods, and the bourgeoisie uses various means to build up power against the proletariat. The governing elites enforce the will of business owners, using ideological and political power to enforce laws and property rights. The financial and banking system also facilitate the consolidation of capital ownership. Karl Marx believed that capitalism is a means of controlling one class by another, creating a system of exploitation and enslavement. The social problems created by this unfair imbalance would eventually be settled through economic and social revolution. Marx predicted that collective ownership of means of production would lead to socialism. And the fifth one, symbolic interactionism, is a sociological theory that develops from practical considerations and alludes to humans' particular use of shared language to create common symbols and meanings for use in both intra and interpersonal communication. According to Mykonos, symbolic interactionism is a framework of building theory that sees society as the product of everyday interactions of individuals. In other words, it is a frame of reference to better understand how individuals interact with one another to create symbolic words, and in return, how these words shape individual behaviors. It is a framework that helps understand how society is perceived and created through repeated interactions between individuals. The interpretation process that occurs between interactions help create and recreate meaning. It is the shared understanding and interpretations of meaning that affect the interaction between individuals. Individuals act on the premise of a shared understanding of meaning within their social context. Thus, interaction and behavior is framed through the shared meaning that objects and concepts have attached to them. From this view, people live in both natural and symbolic environments. Symbolic interactionism comes from a sociological perspective developed around the middle of the 20th century and that continues to be influential in some areas of the discipline. It is particularly important in microsociology and social psychology. It is derived from the American philosophy of pragmatism, and particularly from the work of George Herbert Mead as a pragmatic method to interpret social interaction. And the last one, the psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis, established in the 1980s by Sigmund Freud, is a method of treatment for mental disorders focusing on the unconscious mind. It was influenced by the clinical work of Joseph Breuer and other neo-Freudian thinkers. Freud's theory of repression and resistance, the importance of sexuality, and the Oedipus complex were key foundations of psychoanalysis. offshoots of psychoanalysis, such as individual psychology and analytical psychology, were developed by Freud's colleagues. Psychoanalytic therapy aims to improve mental health by bringing unconscious material into consciousness, focusing on early childhood development. Psychoanalytic sessions involve patients expressing their thoughts, inferring unconscious conflicts, and analyzing their conflicts to help patients understand themselves better. Despite its controversial nature, psychoanalysis remains influential in psychiatry and other fields. And that's all for tonight, Miss Ali. I hope I discussed it all in an understanding way. And again, I'm Mary Ellaine A. Sabuya.